Kim Cattrall.
Lipstick on.
Yeah. Hello, lady. How are you?
Good, really good.
Nice to see you.
Good to be here.
This has got to be really interesting and kind of almost strange to finally get this made. This is something that's been floating around in your world for a while, isn't it?
Yes. After Sex and the City ended, it was kind of a bit of a tough time for me. I mean, first of all, this great series that I love so much, and the end of some personal things, and then my dad was diagnosed with dementia, which was really sad. So I thought, you know, I need to go away for a while, and I need to go home. And two of my homes are Canada, of course, primarily, and also England, where I was born. And I got there and I started doing a lot of theater, which I love doing. And I was asked by the BBC if I would like to take a creative meeting, which I was... It's fantastic. I said, yes, I would, with this particular man who headed up Ab Fab, which I was a huge fan of, and other shows like The Office. And he said to me, John Plowman was his name, and he said, we would like to develop something for you. And there's a series I think that you should take a look at just to see this writer and his work. And it was this show, half-hour comedy, which I love that format anyway, called Sensitive Skin. And I thought, what is sensitive skin? Is it about beauty products? I mean, what is this? And it was starring Joanna Lumley.
From Ab Fab.
From Ab Fab.
Yeah.
And it was about a woman going through a midlife crisis. And I thought, I can so relate to this.
Let's play a clip from
Yes.
Joanna.
Okay.
Here's back then.
And then there's the cancers: breast, uterine, ovarian, womb, and fallopian tubes.
But on the plus side,
It keeps you looking younger.
well, you know, why rock the boat? That's what I always say. Well, I don't always say it, but you know, that's the sort of feeling I have. Yeah. Could have 3 months.
You've got your team, right? What is the difference? Because I know when you watch British comedy, their comedy's a little more revealing, a little less flattering, and it's just, you know, that I still think that Office Christmas special is one of the darkest pieces of TV ever made.
Ever made, yes.
So,
and hysterically funny at the same time.
right, but sort of
Like
horrific.
life.
Like life, yeah. But so when you're doing this, what is the difference between the British woman and the North American woman in this story?
Well, I think that my Davina is just more aware in some ways of herself and the dilemma that she's in, the crisis that she's going through. And also, I love physical comedy. I'm known for it, especially from Sex and the City. So that was an ingredient that I wanted to entail in this story. Also, I felt that there was a very, as you can hear, you know, the music, that's Glenn Gould's Goldberg Variations. I wanted a lighter tone for hers, you know. Much the same way that Sex and the City brought people to the point where they could laugh at these very embarrassing situations. I wanted to really use my work as an actor, as an actress, to really kind of open up and understand more of what's going on for me as a woman.
I know this is a woman that you identify with who weighed into it. This is, I think, from the 60s with Adrienne Clarkson.
Oh, a big fan of her.
And he will also, that man that's strong enough to be Jeno, I think,
Betty Friedan.
really welcomes his liberation and the end of his loneliness and the end of this sea of hostility that has been, you know, preventing love in this country, and that has been dehumanizing sex and making such loneliness and such alienation, frustration for everyone. And he will welcome a woman who can come out from behind that simpering, you know, mask of ruffles that hides so much rage and impotent rage and unnecessary covert manipulativeness, and welcome the woman that can come out of that mask of ruffles and rage and be a person.
Yeah, that's one of my heroes. Yeah. She wrote a great book, which I don't know if, I'm sure most of you have heard of, called The Feminine Mystique. And she really talked about the same thing that I'm addressing in Sensitive Skin, is this point of the thing that has no name, this ennui of really, as a woman of a certain age who has really had a very full life, where do you go after a certain age? And that, I think, has never been addressed. That's fresh, that's exciting, so that's what I'm doing.
The good news is that most guys I know who get to that age also don't know what to do anymore. So,
But I feel that that story has been so told.
it sure has. It
Yes,
sure has.
from a woman's point of view, I think it's interesting and fresh and challenging, especially for men. And that's one of the things that I love about this series. It's a woman questioning how she wants to spend the next 30, 40 years of her life, where she's vital and she has something to say and physically is, you know, still really young. I used to think 50 was old until I turned 50. Right? And I remember a girlfriend of mine saying to me, you know, she'd already turned 50, and I said, what is it like? She said, you know, you wake up in the morning and you just really don't give a shit.
I sort of felt that way about 41. I can't wait for 50.
Wait,
I can't
it's
really.
a bigger I don't give a shit.
Because then you start to think, wow, I'm like, we're running out of time.
Yeah.
If I was 30 yesterday and I'm 40 today, and then you're 50 the next day,
Yeah.
70 if you're lucky.
It makes you really think, well, who do I want to really spend time with? What are the jobs that what do I want to say? Have I something to say?
That's the thing. Have I
Yes.
something to say?
Yes.
And is that when you started? Is that was literally what started the conversation for you? It was success and aging and that kind of thing?
It was that, but I think after Sex and the City, everyone expected me to do another Sex and the City. And I took that time out, and in that time out, you know, which is sort of like meditative, I just thought, how do I want the rest of my life to be? And I didn't want it to be safe. I wanted it to be challenging and to take those chances. You never know what's going to happen. That's what I love about doing live theater, because every night is that tightrope. You don't have the safety net of a take two. It's only one take. That's really exciting for me. So that's what I want the rest of my life to be about, taking those challenges.
Let's go back early. And tell me what
Yes.
challenge. How about trying to like convince someone to join a cult, like early? Look at this.
Oh, God, what is that? Oh, God.
I love this. I saw this. Look how free you are, right? Which you still are now, but that's interesting.
Energy.
I mean, that right there. Look at how free that is. When the Saints,
Still can't sing. Only in the shower.
in those early days, I mean, a scene like that, you have to be very vulnerable to go there, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Well, I always feel vulnerable. You know, I think that's why sensitive skin is so important for me at this point in my life, because I'm talking about something that has always been with me, which is, you know, I've been very fortunate to look a certain way, and as you get older, that starts to fade. And here is a woman going through that point of, am I still desirable? Am I still look beautiful? Do I still have a place in life that is meaningful? Will my life be fulfilling? That's really the biggest question.
Well, do you think that the audience wants you to not be beautiful? Because when they have the pretty girl or the handsome fella, with men, if there's a really handsome actor and they kind of put on 700 pounds for a role or lose 40 pounds for a role, it's one thing. But occasionally Charlize Theron, she does the monster role and people go, oh my God, the transformation. But they generally don't want the pretty girl to be anything but the pretty girl.
Right.
Have you experienced that?
Not since Sex and the City.
Yeah.
People have been wanting me to be the sexy girl or the sex maniac.
But is that...
I reserve that for personal.
How wild...
No, just kidding. Just kidding.
Don't say kidding. Go with it. Yeah.
okay.
You'll get a lot of Twitter followers that way. But no, before Sex and the City, did you experience that? No matter how good an actor you were, if you wanted to do something else, they didn't want you to?
Well, you know, the girl is kind of, people think of it as an exciting role to be, but it's really not as interesting as the character role. You get much more fun. I was having so much more fun than Carrie on Sex and the City, because she was always troubled about things, and I was just having fun, my character, you know, and creating fun. But as I've gotten older, the roles have gotten better. And I think, again, that's why going back to the theater for me has been so important. And Hollywood and film and television is kinder, but after a certain age and you don't play that beautiful girl, where do you go? Where do you go to age in our society? That's the big question that I'm asking.
Right. What role does the beauty industry play in this? Because I was watching that scene, right, and I know the story Sensitive Skin, and I just went, wow, the headspace. Like, I'm on TV, and sort of care how I come across, but only sort of. Because the
Well,
beauty...
you're very cute.
Well, you're sweet to say that.
I follow him on Twitter.
And I follow you, Mrs. Well, I'm going to...
I get all my news from my Canadian news, my Rob Ford updates.
Oh, it's so wild. But Rob Ford appeared... Like, you mentioned Rob Ford in the new one, don't you?
Yeah, something about crack.
But the beauty industry is a different reality entirely for women. So I'm not asking the question as somebody who hasn't even an idea what the answer is, but just that it must play a role.
It's a tremendous amount of pressure because I mean, I look at people in the public eye and, you know, people say, oh, they've had so much work done or they've got so much Botox or whatever, but I have such empathy because if they leave the wrinkles, then they're criticized for being old or an old hag. I remember it was so distressing to me that when I was shooting Sex and the City 2, and some newspaper had taken a close-up of my knee and exaggerated it so many times and said, whose knee is this? Who old lady's knee is this? And I thought, what? You know, first of all, really? That's what it's come to?
Well, that's when you're allowed to go take the photographer and kneecap them. Yes. Crime and punishment, right?
Exactly.
It totally worked.
But you do feel very vulnerable because, you know, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And that's, again, why I wanted to address this.
There's also, if you follow her on Twitter, there's this great shot of you laying in Don McKellar's hairy chest in bed.
Yes,
I was like, wow, that is super revealing. But I guess it has to be part of it.
Well, I like men with hairy chests. Yeah.
There you go.
Sadly, you know, it's not in vogue. I mean, you look at movies from the 70s, 80s, the men still, Burt Reynolds, he had a lot of, it's suddenly now the idea of masculinity is a hairless chest. I think that's quite young and juvenile myself.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You got to embrace your inner Mediterranean. You do. You have to stick around more with Kim Cattrall right after this. All right, coming up, that time Kim sang back up for the late, great Lou Reed. No big deal. That's the party time. You ready?
Oh, gosh.
One person in the world who could use a swift kick in the ass from this foot.
Just one person?
Just like you can list a bunch, but I only need one.
Oh, God. My agent.
Yeah. Don't you mean your former agent now?
He's not listening, hopefully.
If you had a personal theme song that played every time you entered a room,
A personal theme song?
what would it be?
Oh, God. I guess it would be Blue Skies.
Which film had the most wild rap party? Mannequin, Police Academy, or Porky's?
Oh, God, I think Porky's. I would hope Porky's did, as much as I can remember. I can't remember it, so it must have been good.
It must have been that good.
Yes.
Your most Canadian quality?
My sense of humor.
If the world was ending tomorrow, what would you be doing tonight?
Listening to Lou Reed.
Oh, yeah. Posted a beautiful picture of him on...
Yeah, Lou's a dear friend of mine.
What are your memories of him?
Oh, many memories. Someone who truly believed in me. He gave me the honor of saying that he said, you're one of us, which was the greatest gift. I was on tour with him last year, and this is just a terrible thing to admit, but his backup singer left when we were in Slovakia, and he had no backup singer, and I had been in the rehearsal process. He allowed me in there and to film it and photograph it, which I love to do, photographs especially. And so I thought that I would save the day, and so I thought, well, it's, you know, walk on the wild side. All I have to do is do, ba-do, ba-do. And I got on stage with Kevin Hearn at the keyboard where the extra mic was and started doing it, and Lou turned around and looked at me. I've never seen him so angry in my life. And I haven't sung since.
If your final performance...
Yes, was in Slovakia with Lou Reed, I have.
You win, absolutely.
Yes.
I think people are really going to like the show. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
Kim Cattrall, everybody. Sensitive Skin, Movie Network, and Movie Central. We'll be right back.